And here to talk about it and help us out is Rebecca Ehler from the Bank of Luxemburg. Good morning, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Amy.
So we're talking about something that can be kind of tough when all of a sudden a two-income household becomes a one-income household. And boy, does that mean a big change. It could be from divorce, death, and illness. So if that happens to you, and it's happened to a lot of people, what are some things that you can do to prepare for it if you may know it's coming, or if it just happens to you, what do you do to get through it and move on?
Yeah, becoming a one-income household is going to be one of two situations. You either did it purposely or you didn't. And right now, 80% of all households are actually two-income households. So when you go to that situation with just one income, it can be a challenge. Like we've talked about with budgeting in the past, your first thing is to really identify where all your income is coming from. So do you have alimony coming in now that you maybe didn't before? What is your salary? Do you have a second part-time job? Do you do babysitting at home for individuals? Do you have Social Security? Really, where's that money coming from? And then you want to look at all those expenses and really start breaking them down into a couple of buckets. You want to see what are your true household expenses for your rent or your mortgage, car payments, utilities. What are those fund expenses that you might want to consider cutting out? And those are going to be those really discretionary items. Maybe it's what you do on the weekends or what you do with some of your family time. And those might be your first places to start looking at. And then you're going to have some of those expenses like your medical expenses, insurance, and things like that you need to look at as well.
It's hard to look at it sometimes because it can be overwhelming, but boy, you get a real education about how much you're spending that you might not need to be spending on the little things that really add up. All right, one of the things we hear a lot about is establishing an emergency fund. How important is that for everybody right now?
Right now, everybody should have at least some sort of an emergency fund, and there's two ways to do it. You're either going to set up a $1,000 emergency fund, and that's going to be for those unexpected things that just pop up. Maybe something happens with the car, or the kids need something for school, so you can tap into that money. You're also going to be needing at least a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, and that's going to be for those situations where maybe one person is laid off and you need to start drawing in on that income.
So two different emergency funds.
Two different
$1,000 in one, and then 3 to 6 months of what you earn in another one.
Correct.
And that is so important because you just never know these days.
You really don't what's going to cause you into that one income situation, and you don't want to have that burden on your family. So if you do have those money set aside, it's going to be important.
And last but not least, we talked about this before, seeking some help. It can be overwhelming all of a sudden if you get a divorce or you lose your partner. People like you can help people out and take a look at everything and put a plan together. Does that happen a lot? People come in and they're like, help.
You'd be surprised, and there's a lot you can do with either renegotiating out rates with the bank, setting up some different payment plans, maybe consolidating your debt to reduce some of those payments. And then there's also some of those intangible things, maybe if you don't have to have as much life insurance anymore, or maybe you don't have to have the same type of car insurance because maybe one person isn't commuting as much. So there's a lot of different ways we can help you try to figure out where you might be able to tweak some of those dollars.
A lot of people are refinancing their homes right now with mortgage rates, right? Saving a lot of money that way.
Rates are still historically low, so it's still a really good time to try to refinance that because you might be really surprised how much extra money you're able to squeeze out of your budget just by reconsolidating some of your existing debt.
Call Rebecca or stop in at the Bank of Luxemburg, and they are happy to help you out. Lots of different branches. How many branches do you guys have?
We have 8 locations between Brown and Kewaunee County.
And you're the little guy, so you're all about, service.
We sure are. We seem to know everybody with that, so we'd love to help you out.
That's a very good thing. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Amy.